Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 963 of the Juicebox Podcast. Jenny's here today. Today on the show, Jenny is back and joining me for another Diabetes Myth episode. Today's myth is that diabetes complications are inevitable. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. If you're enjoying the Diabetes Myth series, you may have missed some. Go back in that podcast player and take a look. If you're not listening in a podcast player, get one. Apple Podcast, Spotify, or something like that. They're free and way easier to listen to a podcast with. Speaking of different series within the podcast, there's Ask Scott and Jenny, After Dark, Algorithm Pumping, Bold Beginnings, Defining Diabetes, Defining Thyroid, Diabetes Pro Tip, Diabetes Variables, Mental Wellness, Type 2 Diabetes Pro Tip, How We Eat, and much more. Juiceboxpodcast.com. Look up in the menu. You'll find them all. I drink AG1 every morning, and you could too. Use my link to get started, and you'll get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first order. drinkag1.com/juicebox. Today's podcast is sponsored by Cozy Earth. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean the earth is comfortable? No. It means that you can be comfortable on earth with some Cozy Earth products. I just got actually, there's a box right here. Can you hear me kicking it? I kicked the box. That box has a new set of sheets that I've purchased with my own money, not that I got free because they're a sponsor, and a brand new pullover in it because Scotty lost some weight, so I had to get a pullover in a different size. Yay. It was exciting, actually. Anyway, that's not what this is about. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% off your entire order. I saved 40% off of those sheets and my pullover, and you can as well. Now, what are you looking for? Bedding? Is that what you want? You want towels? Because I use Cozy Earth towels, and I'm very dry when it's over. Do you understand what I'm saying? Soft, absorbent. You love it. I got the sheets. I got women's clothing, these beautiful pajamas. My daughter's wearing a pair of pajamas from Cozy Earth. I love the joggers and the pullover, like I was telling you about a second ago. There's a bunch of stuff that's been on Oprah's favorite things list over the past number of years at Cozy Earth. Actually, looks like, oh my gosh, it looks like Oprah's list. Is it 2018? Is that what I'm seeing here? Yeah, 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. They have had a product made out of their beautiful, beautiful materials on Oprah's favorite things list. I'm no Oprah. I don't have a favorite things list, but if I did, there'd be a number of things from Cozy Earth on it. Seriously, take advantage of that 40% offer off of everything, not one item, by the way, everything in your cart. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. And because I prattled on like this at the beginning of the episode, no more ads. Jenny, hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you. I have a very short diabetes myth.
Okay.
The myth is that if you have diabetes, complications are inevitable. They are going to happen. So, it's a weird conversation to have, but I have only a tiny bit of feedback, and I think the rest will be from us. That diabetes causes the complications. And this person says, in my mind, it's not the diabetes, it's the high blood sugars. Now, I don't know if that's completely accurate or not. And I'm going to be honest from the perspective of a person who has a child with type 1. This is one of the things that kept me up at night when I was first in here, right?
Yes.
Is this a thing that we can manage in a way where she'll never have a problem? And by a problem, I mean she's not going to have a stroke or a heart attack or losing her sight or something like that. Like, these are the things I thought when she was diagnosed.
Right.
Or is this an inevitability? You have diabetes now, something worse is going to come directly from the diabetes. And
right.
I'm going to tell you right now, before I ask you to answer, I don't think there's an honest answer to that question.
I would agree.
Okay.
Because in general, high glucose levels contribute to the majority of the complications and the problems that could arise down the road. How long do you have to have high blood sugars in order to create complications? That's an unknown. Mm-hmm. I can't give an answer for that, honestly. I'm quite sure that there's some research that defines some time period of something that leads to such and such. This amount of elevated creates, problems in the eyes, and it leads to bleeding and hemorrhage and those types of things, or in the kidneys or whatever. But it is the high blood sugars that impact and can contribute down the road to complications. The complications, being heart disease and stroke and higher blood pressure and kidney disease. And all the things, right? Neuropathy or nerve damage, retinopathy, the problems in the eyes, all those kinds of things.
Right.
And I have worked with people long enough and with varying, years with diabetes to know that there are some people who have had diabetes I'm trying to think of the oldest client I have right now is in her 70s, and she was diagnosed as a teen. So a good number of years with diabetes, and only complications for her are actually some heart things. Mm-hmm. And she also has a family history of heart stuff. Other families that don't have diabetes also have some heart disease, and she manages things really well. So, that's N of one, right? I've had type 1 for 35 plus years now, and I actually just had my eye exam, like my yearly, and the doctor he looked at me, and then he looked at my eyes, and he looked at me, and he's like, "You have pristine eyes." He said, "If I didn't know that you had type 1 diabetes, I would never have thought, to even be looking at your eyes." So again, there are varying degrees of complications, and when they start person to person, I would expect that some things are environmental as well, right? Some things might have relevance to the intake, what the person is eating and how those nutrients are fueling the body and doing other really good or not so great things within the body along with the blood sugar management. So I think there are a host of variables that contribute. Mm-hmm. And you can't filter them out to just say this is definitely it.
My expectation, what I settled on finally, was that there's an amount of unknown. So there are the things we can control. But I do expect that if we took 100 people and somehow magically kept their blood sugars exactly the same throughout a lifetime, that some of them would get to the end and be like, "Can you believe I have diabetes? You can't know." And then some of them would be dead for 20 years. And who knows why? It is going to be a little bit of the luck of the draw. But that's not, in my mind, a reason not to try. Like that's, you know what I mean? Because that's my fear, is that there are some architecture in some people's minds that hear, well, if you can't tell me for sure this is going to work out exactly the way I imagined it, then screw it. Better to die young and leave a good looking corpse kind of an idea. And I think that, I just don't think that's the way to go. I think you learn how to use insulin, you manage it well, you don't look at high blood sugars and just say, "Oh, this is okay." You push them back down and you hold on tight and hope you're the one, that does okay. Because I think as technology increases, as insulins get better as they have, it's obvious, the numbers say people are having better and better outcomes. But it's not everybody. It's the people who know how to use the tools.
Right.
Those people are having better outcomes. The rest of the people are still in the same situation. It might as well be 1940. And by the way, there are some people, some people who are so old and they've had diabetes for such a long time, back when they were like regular and NPH, and even like before that with beef and pork insulins and things like that. They're the picture of health, But I tend to think of them as the 95-year-old lady on the news eating cake and smoking cigarettes and going, I don't know what you're all upset about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just,
Right.
I think that person is just, made out of titanium.
Right.
Honestly.
Well, and I guess that begs a consideration of how did things get started, right? I'm old enough with type 1 that I've moved through a lot of the transition of technology, as I've said before, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't have anything fancy when I was first diagnosed. Thankfully, I had a blood glucose meter that I actually had at home and could use it as I needed and wanted to, right? But I don't know, I have no way to prove it, but the regimented way that my parents helped me navigate early on moved me in a way to maintain some stability that also helped me move into what we now have in terms of technology that absolutely is helping me to a large degree. And also my knowledge base of saying it isn't just knowing how to use my insulin. It's knowing that my lifestyle and my choices also contribute to where I am today. I truly believe that, right? And I add activity and I eat good food most of the time and I use insulin the right way.
Yeah. Oh no, I've known you long enough. That is my takeaway from you. Like if you made me write a story about you and I don't even have any of the facts, like it's my expectation that your parents were like, this is the path, get on this path. And you got on it and you didn't fight about it. Like
I didn't.
Yeah. Your personality didn't let you go, you know what? I'm going to go to college and eat a pizza every day and screw you people. like you went with the program. And I mean, honestly, Jenny, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Visually, you're one of the healthiest people I know. Like, I look at you and I think I aspire to look like Jenny. So,
oh, please don't. That would require a lot more changes.
but honestly, like, and I know like I'm not at your doctor's appointments and you have other autoimmune issues that I'm sure bother you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, looking at you, being in your presence, seeing you, you're the kind of healthy I'm hoping for. Like seriously, 100%. And there are times I sit in my own house and I pick something up and I think, Jenny wouldn't eat this. I honestly do that. I've looked over at other people in my life and gone, Jenny wouldn't eat that. And I've said it to people who don't know who the hell you are.
You did see me try fried green tomatoes, though, didn't you?
I did. I saw that.
You remember?
Yeah, we were
and they
dinner.
were pretty good.
Oh, we're going to see each other again soon. We'll get to have dinner again soon, actually.
I know. That'll be exciting.
It will be. And I'm going to be so much thinner. You won't recognize me at first, but you'll figure out it's me eventually.
Well, I already see the difference. So.
Do you? I'm glad because I've gotten to an odd place. It's in my Wegovy diary if you really want to hear about it. But I've gotten to an odd place where I don't see it anymore. I see how people's minds play tricks on them. Like in the beginning, I was like, I'm getting smaller. This is amazing. And now I'm like, I'm fat. Like seriously, like it's weird how your brain talks to you. The last one on this is an older person. They said they were told they would never work past 55 years old. They were told, but she did. She worked in a store at 67 years old with young people, but cried at her 40th birthday. And I'm so sorry, this could be a man too. Cried at their 40th birthday because they thought, like, that's it. Like, I'm not making it.
They thought they were almost.
Yeah. And from having so many conversations, I once spoke to a woman who was told to drop out of college when she was diagnosed because she wasn't going to live long enough to benefit from college anyway. And she's still alive. I spoke to a person who was told that a man would never love them because of the trouble that they would bring medically.
Oh.
Like that's the kind of, but I tell those stories because that's the mindset of this is definitely going to go wrong. And the reason it worries me is we talk about so much how old thoughts still impact today, right? Mm-hmm. Is that maybe people aren't saying things like that out. I mean, I hope they're not saying things like that out loud anymore. But isn't it possible that their thoughts are still tainted by the idea of like, oh, you got type 1. Uh-oh. Well, it's probably not going to go good for you. Like I want,
potentially,
even if and I hate that because those are the people who then are in a position to help you. And I wonder if the motivation's not always there. Like, I'm not saying every doctor's like secretly thinking I'm not going to help this person because they don't have any chance anyway. But I do worry that it's not in the back of their head a little bit, especially if you as the patient aren't showing an aptitude for it, because then they might, write you off in their head. And I don't know, it worries me quietly in my mind.
And that's unfortunate, if you're the practitioner who has written somebody off and you just keep like signing their prescriptions because that's all you think that you need to do anyway. There could be, every visit is an opportunity to potentially help somebody take that step that they need to take.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not doing that, then you are failing them.
Right. And
that's sad.
Complications are not inevitable. If you manage diabetes well, you have as good a chance as anybody else to get through your life. If the proverbial bus hits you, it doesn't matter if it's a bus or it's diabetes or something else. Like that's the risk you're taking being alive. So, and since you didn't get a choice about being here, you're stuck with it.
That's right.
So just
here you are.
Yeah,
so
put your head down and work.
Take your life and live it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I appreciate it. That's kind of a bummer, but thanks for doing that with me.
Sure, of course.
Our good friend Jennifer Smith works at integrateddiabetes.com. You can hire her. Let's thank Cozy Earth. They've been sponsors all year. They're fantastic, aren't they? CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% off of your entire order. That's 40% on everything at CozyEarth.com with the offer code JUICEBOX. And don't forget, if you know somebody who would enjoy the show, please share it with them. Share it with your doctor, with a spouse, somebody you meet on the street. And anyone you know who might have type 2 or prediabetes, please let them know about the Type 2 Pro Tip series at juiceboxpodcast.com. Look up in the menu. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.